All right, so first up we have members Deena and Marshall. Everybody give them a round of applause. 2 months, yes.
It's a rap battle.
Here you go. And then just hold it up to your mouth so that everybody can hear you. All right, so first thing I want to say is we need to give them a second round of applause because they drove all the way in from Corpus today to be with us. All right, so tell us a little about yourselves. What do you do? What's going on?
Go ahead.
Okay, so Marshall
Hold
is
it real high.
Yep.
real high.
You got it.
Okay,
Like you're eating it.
so before I joined Lifestyles, I was actually an enrolled agent. So I used to help a lot of people that had like tax problems and also help them with their taxes. But my mom, you can see her right over here, she kept getting sicker and sicker. She had COPD. So when I finally decided to join real estate, it was the day before a deadline. And she had a heart attack in San Antonio. She's from San Antonio. And so I had to drive up, and there was a client where we used to do like a lot of big high dollar accounts. We were clawing back a lot of the accounting because on cash basis, if you write the check, that's when it counts, even if it hasn't cashed yet. And so this lady, we were going to be right up to the last minute. So I told her, well, my mom just had a heart attack. You know, she's on a ventilator. I need to go to San Antonio. And if there's any penalties, we can get it abated. But if not, I'll pay it out of pocket. And the lady was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe you. And if you would have done this before, like it wouldn't have mattered if your mom died or not. Yeah, so I was like, you know what, I'm done. So this was in September. I still had the business, but I just kept thinking, you know, she's got COPD, and she's just gonna keep getting worse. And so in December, I actually listed my my business, and it sold 2 weeks later. So then I started going to the local.
Did they get to keep that good client?
Yes, they did. I think she fired her, though. The lady that took over was like, these are my rules, these are my hours. I was working like 80 hours a week. We had 500 clients. The lady that took over, she put a lot of systems in place and fired a lot of the clients. So good for her. I should have fired that lady, too, that day. So then I was interested in real estate, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I started going to RIA meetings, and we started flipping and wholesaling.
Those are bad words.
Those are bad words. Yeah, don't do that. That was before I found Lifestyles. And so it was a lot of work and a lot of stress. It was a lot of fun, too. Like, I mean, we walked into some crazy houses. There was, like, bee houses, crackhead houses, all sorts of houses. But so one of my friends
Their substance was challenged, right?
Yes, they were challenged.
Physically challenged people.
Yes. And so a lot of my friends were in real estate, and they were sharing David Fisher's posts. And I was like, always seeing it on their feed. So I was like, okay, who is this guy? And so then I started following him. And then we did the 2-day, but the first time we did the 2-day was during COVID. So Marshall, what did you do the first time during the 2-day?
Uh-oh.
I fell asleep. I did. I really did. So
You see, I'm boring, guys.
I fell asleep. I was one who really didn't believe it. But I was
Marshall, hold that up here.
Marshall, industrial firefighter. So just
He did not
a bit of my
believe a
background.
word. So I had it on the computer, and of course I was like, oh, we can put it on the bed, and like, you know. And no, I look over, and he's like snoring. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take action, even if he's not going to take action. So I went and I bought, one of my clients actually sold me a property, and that was the first house. And then we kind of didn't do anything for a year. And then a year was up, and we still hadn't been to the 2-day in person. We actually just saw the 2-day in person this February. Yeah, it was
won't fall asleep
life-changing.
during that one.
Yeah,
Just,
y'all need to come.
They came to Houston when I taught there.
They came
I remember.
to Houston.
And you know what? I even went to dinner with you guys, remember?
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's we'll tell you a little
Did
bit what
Marshall
we're
fall
going to
asleep
do.
during dinner?
He
Marshall,
did
did you
not.
fall
No,
asleep during
I
Or the
dinner?
didn't.
2-day, he was like, oh, why didn't I listen to this sooner? And I was like, really, Marshall? So for the first year, I bought the one property, but we really hadn't done anything. So then it was time to, like, did we want to get a mentor? What did we want to do? So I wanted to do single family, and so I told Marshall, well, it's now or never. And he, being Marshall, he's like, do whatever you want. I don't care. And so we met Joey
Smart
Sullivan.
man.
Oh, well, let's give Joey a hand.
Joey, yes.
And so after we started working with Joey, it really took off because a lot of I mean, I don't know. We're just always calling him, Joey, is this the good cash flow? Joey, what do I do about my contractor? Joey, my AC got stolen. And so he's really walked us through a lot, and we've made a lot more money since having a mentor.
Cool.
Fantastic. So how's firefighting?
I'm tired. So I wake up at 3:45 every morning.
Any other firefighters? You used to be one, didn't you? Yeah, he's retired.
All right.
Yeah, I'm exhausted and I'm ready to retire already. So, yeah.
All right. Well, so tell us a little bit more. You heard about the post or the 2-day, and your goal is to fully retire Marshall.
Yes.
And how's that going?
Well, so we went to the 2-day in February, and that's when we talked to David, and we realized we need to level up. So now we're going to start selling a lot of our single-family houses, and we're either going to try to be a lead or an IRO. We keep going back and forth.
So it's a lot of words you'll hear up here are Greek if you're brand new. A lead is a person that puts an apartment deal together and other people invest with them. An IRO means you're buying the apartment by yourself with no other partners, just so you guys know. And you'll know all this once I go through a 2 days explaining it to you, just so you know.
So this was a property that you purchased in Corpus, where you live, and it purchased it in 2021, and so you spruced it up a little bit. And the thing that I like the most about this property is clearly the after pictures are gorgeous, and they look like something you would see in a catalog or whatnot. But if you really start playing that game of like, what are the differences and how could I change it? You can see that they did do a lot of work on this property and they made it beautiful and they changed a couple things out. But this wasn't like, oh my goodness, this crack house with like all of these like syringes everywhere and just walls torn out. It's truly a cosmetic rehab, so not a huge heavy lift, correct?
And the one that wasn't a huge heavy lift, like, makes us the most cash flow.
Isn't that funny?
Joey helped us a lot on that.
It is, that's what I always laugh about, because of course when you're brand new and you're like, I have to take on the biggest, ugliest, most torn down thing ever to make money, and you will quickly find out that it's really not that hard if you just take a step back and just make something that's a little dated, pretty and up to date. So you see, changed out some flooring, did some paint, put in new countertops. The bathroom, you guys, what?
We just put in a new countertop and paint. That was
There you
it.
go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so let's talk about the numbers on this not giant, heavy lift, huge rehab. Sorry, the clicker's working slow. So you, the after repair value, that's the value that it appraised for on the conventional side, was $175,000. You acquired the house for $93,000, and it didn't have a big rehab. Like I said, everybody always thinks that in order to make money in real estate, you have to tear the house down and build a brand new one. Your total cash out of pocket on this property was just under $21,000, but you cash flow very strongly as $485 a month on that property. So you gave yourself a $5,820 raise every single month that comes into your pocket. And how hard do you have to work for that?
Not hard at all. Like, our tenants even pay directly into our bank account.
There you go. Not even any calls. You always hear the stories of your friends, uncles, brothers, person that went and said, oh, real estate's terrible. I'm always having to drive across town and pick up checks and beat down doors. No, it's called online rental payments. So super easy. But your equity capture on this property, again, not this giant tear it down, rebuild a new house project. Your equity capture is almost $60,000, meaning you have $60,000 that you can access when you sell this house and deploy it into whatever. That's huge, guys. Can we give them a round
Give him
of
a hand,
applause?
it's huge. So, really quick, guys, do you remember when I did my speech? How much did I say you have to need to buy a house? $20,000. And I say you could double your money. Did they double their money? I mean, I can even use that modern math, what's that called? Common Core? That's a pretty good number, right? Who agrees? Would this be life-changing? Give him a hand.
We bought the one next door. After meeting with Joey, we decided we were paying too much with our hard money lender, and so we bought the one next door for $5,171 out of pocket.
$5,000 out of pocket. Give him a hand. That's awesome.
And it was super funny because we've all tried to play Monopoly with houses. How many people in this room that's been investing own multiple houses on the same street or in the same neighborhood?
And the lady across the street said she might sell to us too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And what happens once she gets 4 green houses? She gets a what? Don't say hotel.
So y'all see the equity capture. There's $328,619. That does not include principal paydown. So we're gonna try and sell 3 of them.
You hear how excited she goes, we made 328,000. You should be jumping up and down. It's a third of a million.
But real quick, when did you guys first start investing in real estate?
So the first one, 2020 is when we went during COVID.
Okay.
Now we did have
See,
one
COVID's a good
property-
thing. Bring on the plague.
So there you go. In under 3 years, they made $328,000. That's
Who'd
it.
be okay with that? 2020 to 2023, 300 grand. Man, I'm proud of you guys.
And in addition to that, you're also making an extra almost $19,000 a month. That just, a lot of people are like, oh, I have a side hustle or I have a second job.
that's
or
a year.
whatnot.
They're not making 19 grand a month.
That is correct, but this is a nice bonus that
Yeah,
you're giving
yeah.
yourself.
I just wanna make
And
sure.
if something were to happen, it's a nice cushion because as David was talking about in the lower income where we stay in the middle class and we work with blue collar residents, it becomes a situation too where if they have a tire go out, that could be the difference between paying rent or not. Well, you could have like a whole car go out and still be okay just based off of your monthly cash flow and not even touching your equity.
Don't jinx it. We had a tropical storm in Corpus, and there was water coming out of my door,
Out of your what?
out of the door, the car
Oh,
door.
I thought out of your toilet. I'm like, it's self-cleaning.
Oh, Corpus.
And then we also, one more thing we did this year is we did a cash out refi and we got out 60,000 out of one
So
of the
what she's
properties.
saying, she took a loan against one of the properties and pulled out 60,000. Now, how much taxes did she pay on that? 0 because of loan. Isn't that cool? Yeah. So really quick, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
There's some new folks in the room. What advice would you give new people?
I would say
Each one of
do
you.
it, but Marshall, you were the skeptical one.
So I was very skeptical. I fell asleep. I mean, come on now. But I always thought it was a gimmick. I really did. And then once I came to the actual 2-day seminar, I said, how can we get there faster now? And that's what I truly believe in. So we're taking this equity capture, and we're going to start leveling up in apartment
There
complexes.
you go,
now.
cool.
So the one thing that I can turn around and say is just do it.
Okay,
Don't
cool.
be scared. Hop in, both feet, and do it.
Cool. All right.
Excellent advice. So now you're going to have more free time to travel and enjoy your family and have the financial security. Short-term goals, acquire some more, maybe the house across the street from the house.
The
that
house
you're
across the street, yes. I think Marshall wants to get 12 more houses,
I want
but
to do 12 houses.
but
in
maybe
a
that's
year,
gonna be
and
12
then-
doors.
Hey, I just want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you went to my seminar?
yes.
And I had you write something in the back of the book. What did it say? Anybody remember what that says?
I
Who?
will
Tell them.
not do.
I will not do what David said. When you play Monopoly, after 4, you go to the apartments. But see, you're so comfortable with the cash flow and you made all this money. Hardest rule for me to teach is what? Can't get rich slow.
That's true.
These two
See,
folks here,
We've been thinking about
and it's
it.
good they're conservative, but they're going to be multimillionaires. Give them a hand for that because I know they will.
And thank you.
Excellent. And so you utilized Joey as your mentor, the person you could call your sounding board of, hey, does this sound right? Am I messing this up or am I doing good or what do you think?
Yes.
So that's definitely beneficial. You utilized our our lenders that financed your properties. And did they do your cash out refi as well?
Actually, we have a different lender.
A different lender. All right.
But we did use, you know what, we did use, for our cash out refi, we used Adam Welch
Okay,
with CMG, and he's been great.
cool.
Excellent. Any other advice? Do we have any questions from anybody?
Yeah, we can take like 2 questions in the room if we got them. If you want to, can you go over to the microphone right there and ask your question? Because you got to remember, the guys online can't hear you otherwise, so that's
Hi,
why we have to do it
Kyla.
that way.
Where are all of your properties located? Are they all in the Corpus Christi area?
So they're all in the Corpus Christi area. The apartment complex, so with that cash out refi, we did passively invest in an apartment complex. That one's in Mission and with Zach.
Oh, okay. Cool. Where's Mission at?
I don't
South
even know
Texas?
where Mission's
Oh,
at.
Mission, Texas. I thought like a mission, like. We're on a mission. You're on a mission. Cool. Anybody else have a question?
Online question
Okay, go ahead.
from Gina. On that first property you showed on the slide, what interest rate did you have on that property?
Great question.
That's a good question.
2021 was probably like what, 4?
No, it wasn't.
So
It
lower.
was, no, it was higher. It was like 6 point, do you know?
Yay!
It was like 6.2.
My point, the reason I bring that up is, who thinks interest rates are too high? It doesn't matter. You have to think like millionaires, not like middle class people. It's how much am I going to make after all the expenses? All you care about is that $500 of cash flow. That's going to change your life. Does it make sense? You have to look at things differently.
Oh, and then she had a question.
Okay, one over there. You got to go over to the microphone.
Just-
I'm sorry,
go ahead.
Agnes.
I'll repeat it. Go
We'll
ahead.
repeat it for you. Go
Where
ahead.
did you find who helped you find the property, or where did you find the property?
The question was, where
So,
did you find that first one?
We
That one you
bought
found
it
it, right?
from a wholesaler, and they had a Facebook post. And so at the time, I didn't know this neighborhood was going to blow up. I only thought the house was worth like 125. And so he was from out of state, and he just posted like, "Hey, who wants to buy this property?" And then that was it. We walked it, and I just said, "Okay." And Marshall's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Hey, you're the one with the full-time job. Can you sign here, please, honey?"
I just said, okay, sure.
And what's really cool about the seminar, when I teach you how to evaluate a deal, it doesn't matter where you find it. You'll know how to run the numbers yourself. Who likes the idea? It's one thing, yes, we have ways of showing you how to find properties, but is it a good deal when you find it on your own? Who likes that knowledge? That's what we're going to teach you. And the mentors help you with that too. Okay?
Yes,
Cool.
we definitely called Joey. I know, poor Joey. I'm like, Joey. But we definitely called him and said, "Okay, well, this is what we're looking at. What do you think?"
Cool. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Excellent.
Well, let's give them a hand. I mean, they did
Definitely.
awesome. Thank you so much, guys.